Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 4, and here we are going to talk about areas and issues in discourse analysis. Um, Before jumping to our materials, here are the names of our members. We have Rizkawanti Kadir, we have Rizna Nuryanti, we have Muhammad Surya Saputra, we have Jeremia Laupa, we have Mirna Devi Ramlan, and we have Yusril Ramadana. So, first, areas and issues in discourse analysis are divided into a few materials. In areas of discourse analysis, we have classroom interaction, courtroom interaction, children interaction, mass media and social media, and other formal and informal setting. Meanwhile, in issues in discourse analysis, here we have politeness, speech acts, gender-related issues, nonverbal communication, code switching, turn taking, discourse markers, and teacher talk. So without further ado, the first material will be brought to you by Miss Mirna Devi Ramlan. Time is yours.
Okay, the first areas in discourse analysis is classroom interaction. The terms classroom discourse refers to the language that teachers and students use to communicate with each other in the classroom. The language used in the classroom is transactional and interactional language. Transactional language is mostly used by teachers in delivering information knowledge for students. However, interactional language is used to communicate with others. Next, next slide, please. Okay, so next point is courtroom interaction. In courtroom, how do they interact on daily basis? So each member of professional courtroom work group is dedicated to seeing a successful completion to the trial. In doing so, they must follow a strict of code. They must follow a strict code of ethics as well as an almost reverent adherence to the laws and its practice. Next, next slide, please. Okay. The next areas in discourse analysis is children interaction. Children acquire language through interaction. From birth, children communicate using sound, action, and facial expression. They don't realize that those sounds and action have any meaning until people they were talking to respond to them. And anytime an adult responds to a child's message, either verbally or non verbally, and the child responds back, we can say that an interaction has already started. And the next point will be presented by the next speakers.
Okay. mm, Social media. Social media is computer-based technology that facilitates the sharing of ideas through and information through the building of virtual networks and communities. The many forms of social media. Social media may take the form of variety of teach-enabled activities. Even government and politicians utilize social media to engage with constituents and voters. For individuals, social media is used to keep in touch with friends and extended family. For business, social media is an indispensable tool. Companies use the platform to find and engage with customers, drive sales through advertising and promotion, watch customer trend, and offering customer service and support. And mass media. Mass communication is a design of people communication used in what way people talk to each other through verbal and also non-verbal implies. However, which involve message. Mass media are sources that bring mass communication and also nearly all research into the last stabilized on the principle that media have substantial effect of the business of people. And other formal and informal setting. Formal learning refers to a type of learning program in which the goal and objective are defined by the training department, instructional designer, and or instructor. Informal setting refers to the opportunities and environment for learning that exist beyond the traditional or formal schooling. Example of informal setting. First, community association. The second, neighborhood. And the last, the cadet now. Uh, that's all for me. Thanks. The next speaker, please.
Okay, and then we're going to move into the issues in discourse analysis. In issues
Okay,
of discourse analysis, we have politeness, which will be brought by Mr. Jeremy Laupa. Time is yours.
okay. Politeness. In social interaction, people need to be aware of other faces to consider their feeling or maintain the relationship. In order to save a person's face, people are supposed to use politeness strategies. Politeness is a set of strategies for doing everyday communication. Test. Example, requesting, advising, complimenting, criticizing, reminding, while at the same time protecting face. When I talk about politeness, I will sometimes refer to a hypothetical interaction between a speaker and hearer. Politeness strategies are designed to protect both the speaker's and the hearer's face during the course of ordinary interaction. Understanding politeness provides insight to fundamental truth about the social world and what it means to be a person, someone with a self and identity. Next, speech act. Next material, speech act. Speech act. Conversation is made of sequence of speech acts. There is a common sense argument shared by philosophers and linguists in favor of the possible extension of speech act theory to discourse analysis. In, in these arguments is the following. Speech acts are not isolated moves in communication. They appear in more global unit of communication, defined as conversation or discourse. A speech act is an utterance that serves a function in communication. Okay, this is my material. Thank you.
And for next material, we have gender-related issues, which will be brought to you by Miss Rizna Nurianti. Time is yours.
Okay. Next is gender-related issues. Gender issues include all aspects and concerns related to women's and men's life and situation in society, to the way they interrelate, their differences in access to and use of to changes in and policies. Gender inequality concerns both women and men. Historically, gender equality policies have been contextualized mainly as a woman's issue. As a woman have been a driving force behind gender equality strategies and struggles. Therefore, it is important to engage more men in standing for gender equality, for this is the way to bring about change. To do that, it is also necessary to make men understand how gender equality is relevant for them. There are 10 examples of the gender inequality existing in the world today. First is lack of mobility, freedom of marriage, discriminatory divorce rights, citizenship, uh, frontline combat, custody rights, violence, and the last is professional obstacle. Okay, I think that's all for me. Thank you.
And then the next material is about nonverbal communication, which will be brought to you by Miss Rizkawanti Kadir.
So, nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is the transmission of message or signal through a nonverbal platform such as eye contact, facial expressions, gestures, posture, and the distance between two individuals. It includes the use of visual cues such as body language, distance, and physical environment or appearance of voice that we call paralanguage, and of touch that we call haptics. So one example of issues that we can analyze a formal spoken discourse in classroom interaction through observing teaching and learning process in the case of teacher talk. Thank you.
Okay, and the next material will be about code mixing and switching. Code mixing is when someone uses a word or a phrase from one language to another language. And code switching is when the language is arranged structurally and grammatically in another language. Code switching and code mixing are well-known traits in speech pattern of the average bilingual in any human society the world over, where both of them are the most obvious and widespread, which use a different language. Code switching is a term in linguistics referring to using more than one language or variety in conversation. Sometimes the bilingual speakers getting problem when they having a conversation with another bilingual. So they switches their language from code to another in the construction of sentence to make the interlocutor understand, and sometimes they do it with the same language background, and it may do so in many times. Generally, there are different perspectives on code switching. A major approach in sociolinguistics focuses on the social motivations for switching, a line of inquiry concentrating both on immediate discourse factors, such as lexical need and the topic and the setting of the discussion, and on more distant factors, such as the speaker or group identity and the relationship building. Next, we have turn taking. Conversation is an enterprise in which one person speaks and the other listens. Discourse analysts who study conversation note that speakers have system for determining when one person's turn is over and the next person's turn begins. This exchange in terms of floors is signaled by such linguistic means as intonation, pausing, and phrasing. Some people await a clear pause before beginning to speak, but others assume that winding down is an invitation to someone else to take the floor. And then the next material about discourse markers.
Okay, I will explain about the discourse markers. A discourse marker is a word or a phrase that plays a role in managing the flow and structure of discourse, since their main function is at the level of discourse or sequence of utterance rather than at the level of utterance or sentence. Discourse markers are relatively syntax independent and usually do not change the truth conditional meaning of the sentence. Example of discourse markers include the particle such as oh, well, now, then, you know, and I mean, and the discourse connectives such as so, because, and, but, or. So one issues that we can take in discourse in doing discourse analysis is the analysis of the discourse markers in movie Expendable 3 or an analysis of discourse markers in Donald Trump's speeches. Next slide, please. Okay. Teacher talk. There are some types of teacher talk performed by the lecturer during classroom interaction. They are greeting students, reviewing the previous material, introducing the new material, giving direction and instruction, encouraging and motivating, giving advice, and closing the class. In terms of function of teacher talk in teaching and learning classroom interaction, Celsia Murcia in 1989 distinguishes teacher talk into indirect and direct teacher talk. So indirect teacher talk covers four areas of teaching and learning process. That is accepting students' feeling, stimulating students' motivation and interest, using students' perceptions, and offering questions. While the direct teacher talk may come out in terms of informing something, giving direction, and justifying students' authority. Well, and one example of issues that we can take as the analysis of discourse analysis is analyze a formal spoken discourse in classroom interaction through observing teaching and learning process in the case of teacher talk. That's all.
As a conclusion, from all the explanation in this presentation, we can conclude that related to the spoken and written discourse, there are many areas in the discourse that we can use in doing discourse analysis, from talking interaction in everyday conversation up to conversation in society around environment such as community association and our neighborhood. We can use and take various issues concerns in discourse analysis, such as politeness, speech acts, power conflict, gender-related issues, nonverbal communication, turn taking, switching code, mixing code, discourse markers, and teacher talk. So I think that's all from our group. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Islam.